Hello, everyone. I'm Gretchen Sugart, Executive Director of Theater Forward, a nonprofit organization that provides support and service to many of our nation's leading regional theaters. We're so happy to welcome you today as Theater Forward shines the spotlight on one of those great theaters, Actors Theatre of Louisville, located in Kentucky. But before we get started, a few housekeeping things. This event is being recorded and will be available to view in the next couple of days. There will be a Q&A session later in the presentation, so please submit your questions in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen during that time. Now let's get started. Our guest today is the Executive Artistic Director of Actors Theatre of Louisville, Mr. Robert Barry Fleming. Robert has an incredible theater resume as a producer, director, choreographer, performing artist, teacher, and coach. He served in leadership positions at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., and at Cleveland Playhouse in Ohio, two of our other member theaters. Robert joined Actors Theatre of Louisville in 2019, just months before COVID-19 shut our theaters down. He has some stories to tell us, so please welcome the indomitable Robert Barry Fleming.
Hi, Gretchen. Thanks for having me.
Hello, take it away.
Well, it's great to be here. I just want to share a little bit about Actors Theatre, now in its 57th year of serving our community. Actors Theatre is a nonprofit organization that began when a pair of theater companies, Actors Inc. and Theatre Louisville, merged under the title Actors Theatre of Louisville. And the company is as old as I am, moving into its 57th year. And so it feels destined to have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Artistic Director of the company. We have been serving our community and probably best known for our Humana Festival of New American Plays that started in 1976. And of course, with the pandemic taking place right at the initiation of that here in 2020, we were unfortunately needing to shut down. So that led to a rather swift and agile pivot to capturing two of the shows that we were able to share with our audiences virtually. And so that very first capture, we realized that we were able to actually bridge some barriers to access that we had been working on. And previously, if someone geographically or had grown into disability and were not able to join us, suddenly they had access to our work with our evolution of Actors Theatre Direct, our streaming platform that allowed us to share that work. So this was a kind of exciting prospect for us. And as many of our member theaters found, we did receive some support with the PPP loan. And with that gave us a chance to bring back some staff to kind of get a little bit of a head start in navigating what was becoming more and more apparent to be a long quarantine and challenging period with navigating this public health crisis. But it also gave us an opportunity to get together with a number of artists and artisans for a Artists in Residence that is fully virtual company to share and create more virtual work, which we were very, very fortunate to have that support and began our journey. And so I'm just going to share with you a bit of the kind of three phases of that. And the first phase of that really was centered around working with Facebook Live events that were spoken word expressions of what we were then starting to dawn on us, another public health crisis, the systemic reckoning with systemic racism. And we were able to have local artists and others share their stories, both in spoken word and song, with unscripted panels, as well as with a podcast. And we began to have that first phase of really sharing the work as we were capturing work for a digital season. So I'd like to share a little bit of what that looked like. So take it away, Alex.
black boy joy nowadays. The black man finds fear. The black boy needs love. The black man finds shame. The black boy is misunderstood. The black man maintains. The black boy feels lost. The black man finds change.
Humanity evolves in the degrees of a chokehold. I feel most productive when I wear tiger's eye. I feel most black when I go anywhere.
I haven't been able to find black boy joy. Too busy juggling this survival, this constant cycle of ups and downs, where if I ever drop the ball, I could be found dead or broken or guilty. Smile harder, nigga. Work harder, nigga. Stop asking for breaks. Ain't no breaks when you black. And if you ever drop the ball, the audience filled with white faces will never let you pick them up. Ever again.
Esto es para mi gente que lloran en las olas y que luchan día a día por el buen vivir. Alegrías de existencia, extraordinary, brilliant, and beautiful. This is a celebration and a vibe for all my peoples losing patience.
Cigars and tortas brew in the air, and jazz soaks up all the unproductivity. My papa, sparing my sleep in the name of God, has found himself a comfortable church on the porch.
More often than not, I hide, hold my arms to my chest and hang my head. When I flourish, you will not be able to forget me, for you will still be pulling my strands of hair off your pillow, shirt, tongue, sweeping me from your bathroom floor, hoping I fall between the cracks. I am not going anywhere.
Black woman, I'm enchanted with the way that you cast your spell. If this is how Black girl magic feels, then allow me to bask in your alchemy. Your wombs have birthed nations. Everyone that ever was and ever will be begins with you.
We are not rag dolls. Our names are not Raggedy Ann. Wide-eyed dolls with red yarn hair sitting on shelves until you feel like playing with us. We have voices. Voices that buck the system, yet we are still women.
We cannot hold your hand through fighting racism because both our hands are too busy fighting to save our lives and our families' lives.
You have always been enough, Black girl, so shine.
We stood, strengthened to go back into those spaces amongst the lilies. But for a moment, we were just sister girls, finding the power in one another to swim upstream.
It's borrowed wisdom with Barry Fleming.
Hey, it's Robert Barry Fleming. Welcome to Borrowed Wisdom.
Who are some of your inspirations, Adele? You've inspired so many young actors through the years. Who were your inspirations?
I felt so inspired by what was possible, especially when you create that pathway to accessing information for folks that are dealing with issues around housing or gentrification.
Folks are saying, how is this impacting our mental health? It was probably most apparent in isolation, youth being pulled away from their friends.
I'm honored to be on your show because when I got your email, I was so excited and I was like, I get to have another conversation with Robert outside of our class.
I'm the director of the LGBT Center on the Belknap campus. I'm thrilled to do the work that we do.
I have been working in South Sudan doing leadership development related to trauma healing, restorative justice, and community building.
Did this brother was he in my head or, did he spy on me in a conversation at some point?
To be able to be back in the same neighborhood and in this area of downtown, right down the street from where all the protests are going on, it feels very empowering and I'm just excited to be able to do my part.
It's a form of communal meaning making where we come together and share embodied wisdom through the interpretation of a text.
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Unscripted by Actors Theatre of Louisville here on Facebook Live, where today we are talking about Latinidad in Kentucky.
Non-binary navigation and theater production.
Why we riot, why we write, art and protest in the 21st century. The Black experience in the American theater. I'm exhausted with the events that are going on in my city and across the world.
Part of our struggle is reclaiming our identity in the way that we see ourselves as well.
I think America's at the point, certainly Louisville, that enough is just enough. If you cannot be in your home sleeping, then where can you be?
We're finally recognizing the value of African-American playwrights.
We have to talk about really the structural issues that push people down so much that they have no place for that rage to go but to bubble up.
To tell the stories that we want to, we have to write the stories that we want to see.
So we had a rather extraordinary opportunity to engage the brain trust that was local, regional, and national of our stakeholders who continue to really look for ways to contribute to the global public good. And that intersection between art and culture, as well as civic engagement, really gave us a chance to be more responsive, I think, than we had generally have the opportunity to do in the regional theater, where we, prepare a whole season of 6 to 7 plays or more that have a wider scope. So this was like the beginning of us really beginning to have that kind of intersectional conversation at a very raw and intense time in Louisville, as the world knows the killing of Breonna Taylor began to start an outcry for anti-racist avocation, challenging police brutality. And we had numerous protests and many challenges in trying to find the way through that and find our way towards how are we going to begin to have a deeper and more meaningful conversation that has substantive impact. And we wanted to continue to explore that through our work as much as through our avocation. And so this began the second period of working with almost 25 different projects. We had already began a kind of bonding with many local community partners. We did a kind of community partnership where we were asking for donations and would split them with various partners, including Black Lives Matter Louisville, the Louisville Community Grocery, Roots 101 African American Museum, the Bail Project, Equal Justice Initiative, La Casita, and our restaurant, while we had that compromising situation, became the David McAtee Community Kitchen, where we were able to serve meals to those working and navigating in West Louisville food insecurity. So we wanted to make sure our work continued to have that kind of meaningful impact and moved into post-production. And so the second phase of that work with 25 plus projects began to roll out. And so I'd like to share a little bit of what that looked like.
We're gonna start by singing some songs in this tiny space together. We're just gonna sing some songs for you, and we hope that when you hear them, you will feel a little bit less alone, and we will feel a little bit less alone in the work and in the hurt, and we will be together tonight somehow, whenever this is, wherever this is. We will be together tonight. For the keep going on song. This is a keep going on.
Plague is said to have broken out previously in many other places.
I tell you, I have such an urge to scream at the top of my lungs.
Why don't you say something?
Death has passed my way.
People said
said I'm white bread, just like Wonder Bread. Like all I got is white pin, the widespread race of Caucasian. Must be a white town that she was raised in, or any other variation of that phrasing. But on every occasion, I'm of the brown persuasion, a product of US-bound migration, a combination of Latin roots and the inclination for dreamy American pursuits. Holla, that's the bread that they ate next to the town I was raised. While we praise Jesus, my friends play dreidel, dreidel. In the winter, we lit the tree lights. They lit menorahs every year for 8 nights. White bread, like I wasn't bred right. White bread, they think I'm white bread, just like Wonder Bread, like I wasn't bred right.
Alright, we should probably do that over.
That's good though. Is that the right time?
Nah, it's I don't know what to do with it, but it calls to me.
That's okay. You can play it like that.
Misery and pain and misery weighing on my brain, keeping me company. I guess I had to fall to rise, had to lose it all to find who I really am inside. In the end, no, I'll be fine.
You're a broken man trying to love someone else, but you can't even love yourself.
I'm always justified, but I can't believe that this is
Whenever we're with aunties and uncles, if I ask a question no one can answer, they pinch my cheeks.
Does that happen a lot?
Yes, it hurts.
Well, at the end of the story, when the crocodile pulled out the elephant's trunk and made it long, he was finally able to slap them all back.
Dad, what are you suggesting?
These magazines never answer the real questions, such as, is it better to put your groceries away after each visit to the store, or do what we do and eat them directly from the car? Ugh, and those endless stories on dieting. I have been on a diet for 20 years. I have lost a total of 789 pounds. I should be hanging from a charm bracelet. I did try exercising for a while. The other women in the class were so thin that buzzards followed them to their car. Just every day, I'd stretch and groan and strain and sweat until I thought I was going to die. But once I finally got that leotard on, it did get better. You know, the only plus side to exercise was I got to hear heavy breathing again.
So we've started to launch into the center of our digital season, and it really, it seemed to be connecting with audiences and who were really missing the opportunity to be engaged with us in live event gathering. And we've been very excited as that's continued to evolve as we're approaching our Humana festival, still working in quarantine, still working remotely. We recognize the exciting opportunity to continue to deepen those relationships in the community, deepen the way that we're reflecting what's happening in the moment, and doing that through emergent technologies. So there's a real kind of evolution in how the storytelling started to roll out, and the different platforms in which we were able to really share that work. And very excited about a number of very exciting collaborators that we might not have, just like working with people in different sectors of this brain trust of Louisville. There's enormous excitement about music in our state, and an opportunity to move into even extended reality, virtual reality, 3D exploration and still bringing the theater practitioners' purview and way into those stories. So it's been classic work, it's been new work, and getting to work with animators and musicians and cinematographers and other digital media artists has allowed us to re-envision some of the ways that we can continue to tell stories. And so share a little bit of what that's looking like and as we're moving forward. So let's roll number 3.
Two households, both alike in dignity. In fair Kentucky, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge, break to new mutiny. Where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. Whose misadventured, piteous overthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife. Fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove, is now the traffic of our virtual stage.
There's something strange about the house. I can feel it. This wallpaper has a kind of sub-pattern. I can see a strange, provoking, formless sort of figure. There are things in that paper that nobody knows but me, or ever will. Behind that outside pattern is a dim shape that gets clearer every day. I will follow that pointless pattern to some sort of conclusion.
So that gives a little bit of a preview of a number of projects that we've had running, have still running, and you know, and then there's projects that we have that are interactive and immersive. As you saw, the last project was a game that we're working with a game designer on. It's given us a chance to broaden and understand storytelling writ large and how that might intersect with ways we would serve our community. So thanks for letting us share a bit of a preview of the kind of interactive work that we're doing and ways that we're engaging.
Robert, thank you so much for that. That is incredible. I love the way you broaden the definition of theater. It's storytelling. It's so varied and expansive, and you know, encompasses animation and music and Irma Bombeck. You know, got these wonderful stories that you're telling, and I wonder how much the community you're in now is informing your storytelling, and would you be doing more or less the same thing if you were in Cleveland or Washington, D.C. or any other city in America?
Well, you know, that's interesting because my work kept centering back closer and closer to home. I was born in DC. My father was born in Cleveland. I have lots of family there, and that is a central home, but grew up in Kentucky from 5 to 17. And I think many of us, whether this is our home of origin who work in the organization or our adopted home, feel great kinship with the community in a sense of it being a very, very special and complicated place, and one that is quintessentially American with all of the challenges and all of the opportunities for where we can go. And we really feel a calling with our engagement with the intersection of art and emergent technologies with social transformation and the possibility of liberation. Watching that be something that our community is engaged with, our boards, our stakeholders and volunteers, those who are new to File, who have joined us on this journey that only know Actors as a transmedia company working on a digital platform. It's been very exciting to have all of those communities come together and vigorously have generative conversation around how we can better serve working locally and thinking globally, and it's been a great joy. I think we have a lot of similar challenges in our kind of urban centers and their relationship to the rural communities that have all the hallmarks of the challenges of the complexities that are inherent in North America that we've seen, both the possibilities and all of the ways that we are incredibly challenged and compromised by our histories. But I think what we're most heartened by is the kind of collaborative spirit in which we are tackling those conversations and investigating and really in a process of inquiry about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going.
Yeah, important questions and conversations to have. Watching those videos was kind of wonderful and exhilarating for me, but also a bit frustrating because, that's beautiful. I wanted to stay with this, and then we went to the next and the next, which makes me regret that I don't have more time to watch everything all the time. But I'm wondering where, first of all, the work is coming from, how you're finding it or conceiving it. And number two, where the artists are coming from.
Yeah, it's a real exciting mix of both our rich, creative local community. And then we have in our 57-year history, we just have such a rich collection of artists and artisans that have worked with us. And because of the extraordinary history, a lot of people who, when we make a call and say, hey, would you be interested in being in conversation with us, are eager to join and feel the mission of unlocking human potential and building community, enriching lives through this kind of work is something they want to get behind. So many of them are friends of references. Our Louisville session, which is sessions which are local, all local Kentucky artists, from hip hop artists, R&B artists, indie rock and country. All of those folks are local folks, and we ask them, like, who would you recommend next? And so we keep broadening that community, that rich community of musicians and artists and storytellers who are poets to music. And our family just keeps building and growing and extending with new friends, old friends, and old media, new media. We have our staples like Dracula and Christmas Carol that obviously we couldn't gather for this year, but we did radio plays of both, shared it on Louisville Public Media. And, we just continue to do work that, speaks to many of our constituents, which are vast and varied and rich and diverse. So it's been a great moment to be able to come together in crisis around those things and have generative conflict about what, I think I had mentioned, I have stakeholders who are like, here's a beautiful sum of a check, and also I think you're doing too much Black and gay stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, I think if you would look at the work, it'd be hard to make a case for that not skewing predominantly white and predominantly heteronormative, but we certainly are looking to be more inclusive. And that's a really interesting perspective. Let's have some generative conversation around that if you want to still be involved with us. But that's been the kind of great onboarding and also incredible challenge of a moment where, the nation's really reckoning with itself and reckoning with its past and reckoning with levels of entitlement and levels of identity and who is mine and who is other. And we get to dialogue about all of that through the work and through the conversations, and steadily move forward in a effort to bring greater health and wellness to our community and the larger conversation.
Yeah, I think if a person is feeling that way, at least they're communicating it to you. That's the good
Exactly.
news. Then you can have the conversation.
Yeah, and it's like,
yeah.
I'm not going to be any less Black or any less gay or any less middle-aged, but we can certainly have a conversation around what is troubling about that for you.
Right. Yeah, interesting. We do have some audience questions, and anybody who would like to ask a question, there's a Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Enter it there and we'll try to get to it. This is a question: what are you most excited for when you resume an in-person season?
That's, probably having an in-person season. The fact that every bit of this work has been captured and worked through, conceived of, captured, and imposed totally in quarantine. We're having a Romeo and Juliet who have never been in the same space. None of these actors or directors or artists have been able to share space because, of course, safety has been our primary objective. And so we're just inspired by what can be done and how much coming together can be done even when we're working in isolation. And so I think the thing we most look forward to is that not being simulated and that actually being a moment of celebration, that we can have great tears of joy as much as we've had tears of loss over the last year. When we get to reincorporate live event gathering into our diverse portfolio of how we tell stories, that'll be a joyous and celebratory day, I think, across the nation.
Yeah, I think I will never complain again about having to go out too much. Living in New York City, 400 nonprofit theaters, all of Broadway, I used to complain, I gotta go again. Never.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's see, I heard you say recently that this is your dream job.
Oh, yeah.
And would like to know why you say that.
I've been an athlete, academic. I've been an artist, and both generative and interpretive, and held leadership positions in academia as well as in nonprofit sectors. And I think at each step along the way, even though each of those steps were wonderful, there had always been a continued search, and a sense of it was preparation for something else. And I think this is probably the first job that I was like, oh, this is what it was all for. Every bit of that experience was to be able to be of service, be a servant leader in an organization as rich and wonderful as Actors Theatre of Louisville, working with the extraordinary staff and board and the people that I get to work with, grow with, learn with. It's been a harrowing year, just absolutely harrowing. I lost my mother in March. There's been so much to grieve. Friends have passed. Many people have fallen on incredibly difficult times. We've had incredible diminishment of staff numbers. It's been heartbreaking. And yet it is very hard not to wake up each day with a sense of gratitude and joy about joyfully participating in the sorrows of the world. It's like, this is a night I like to dedicate to Chris Smith, who was one of our guests on Unscripted, talking about his activism, working in the riots, working in the protest that led to some incredible violence on protesters that was unwarranted. And Chris is not with us anymore. Chris was killed just before the new year. So I mean, we've really gone through so much loss, so much challenge, and it's also given us a chance to say some uncomfortable truth to one another and work with a different level of rigor and truth and engagement with one another, and really see where those lines are drawn and say, is there a way that we can still move forward empathetically and still with a level of a deep commitment to something larger than ourselves. And so this job gives me the opportunity to do that every day, and I have not a single regret, or however hard it gets, however exhausting it gets, it's such a privilege to get to do.
That's wonderful. All right, we have time for one more question before I hand things over to my colleague, Carl. This one is, you mentioned Humana Festival. Please tell us about the work and how and when you plan to present it.
Sure. It'll be no secret that most of that's going to be a digital kind of season or offerings. We've not announced most of the work, but there is one project, the Ali Summit, that has been announced. It's seminal. Our wonderful playwright, Idris Goodwin, who is just prolific and just such a profound and generous artist, has taken on the endeavor of exploring the summit that took place in 1967 in the month of June, where Ali chose to be a conscientious objector to the Vietnam War and felt as a Muslim he would not, and a Black man who was not finding his rights honored in his own home country, would not fight to kill another group of people of color in the name of a country that was not honoring who he was, and found himself stripped of his title and looking to see if there were other Black athletes and politicians who had vested interest in his professional career, even if they would support him. So we've got a whole kind of multimedia exploration of that particular project that we're very excited, working with a thrilling partner in the creative technologist who and company Crux that will be helping us realize that. And we have other exciting partners that will continue to be able to share new work and in new forms, as well as ways that may be more familiar to us. So we're looking forward to being able to announce the whole slate within a couple of months here.
Well, your creativity and your courage is inspiring, and Robert Barry Fleming and Actors Theatre of Louisville, we thank you very much.
Thank you,
for
Gretchen.
this overview of an amazing organization. I will be there to see theater and drink bourbon with you someday.
We
soon,
look
I hope.
forward to
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We're so grateful for the great advocation Theater Forward gives all our member theaters. We're most grateful to you.
Anybody out there who has any money, support this theater. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Gretchen.
Good. Now, I would like to turn things over to my colleague, Carl Silvestre, and take it away, Carl.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Carl Silvestre. I am Theater Forward's Director of Development. And Robert, what a wonderful program this was. So on behalf of everyone at Theater Forward, thank you. And also to Patrick, Mary, Amy, Emily, Chris, and everyone at Actors Theatre who helped put together this wonderful program. For all of us, please sign up for a future Spotlight series and watch past programs on our website. And there's a live chat. The chat is, that information is on the chat now. Now I actually want to announce sort of our next program, or next virtual program, which is on Monday, February 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We invite you to tune in to Theater Forward's virtual gala to celebrate and raise necessary funds, not only for Actors Theatre, but all of our 10 founding member theaters. The night will be hosted by stage and screen star Carly Hughes and will feature musical performances from Jason Robert Brown, Anika Noe Rose, Kate Baldwin, George Salazar, the Bangsons, and we'll have a few special guests, friends stopping by to say hello. This is a virtual free event. So RSVP now. It really is, we're really excited about this and hope to share that evening with you. Also save the date for our next Spotlight series, our next theater, which is going to be on Wednesday, March 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern. And it will feature the Long Wharf Theater in New Haven, Connecticut. And so, as I was thinking about the Bongson song tells us, we just keep going on and we just keep going. So for more detail about our work to financially support Theater Forward and its member theaters, to sign up for upcoming events, please visit our website at theaterforward.org. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.